Darling, how are you?
I'm really, really well. It's been a while since we've last seen you, hey?
Yes, a year since we sat across that table. All that female energy, all that love.
It was amazing. So that was in August last year. How has it been since you went back home? I know that we were sort of in the tail end of COVID, so you did end up going back home. How's it been for you for the past 12 months?
It's been fabulous because there's been so much writing, probably so much more than I'd ever done previously, because of course people were stuck indoors and so they were creating more music. So I was getting more music. So I was returning more and more songs, and then of course had more and more releases. So since that, I've been offered gigs like yourself. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. So welcome back to Australia. You're with
Hi, everyone.
you're with family at the moment. It must be so good to be home with them.
Oh, it's heavenly. It's heavenly to be with everybody you love, to be involved in music at the same time. It's like icing on, it's the cherry on the top of the cake.
It seems to me like you're such like I would say the spiritual warrior of music, and it must be a fantastic life to be able to record and travel all around the world and do what you love doing.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes you're a little bit of a nomad. Don't think it's all, fancy hotels. Sometimes you're on people's sofas. Sometimes you're in the ensuite. But it's always, always an amazing time because wherever I am, I find the joy in the people I'm around because they're always great friends I've met through music. I wouldn't like to say 25 years, but I think it's 25 to 30 years. I was a child, but it's always amazing. Always. I look at the people I've met. I would never have met you, Josh, if I wasn't involved in music.
Exactly, exactly. And it's amazing time to be alive, especially. So let's go back a little bit to the people who may not know who you are and who've just discovered you, the next generation of kids. So I did
Right.
go to your Wikipedia and have a quick look, and there was a start where you were called in a duo, I believe, called JJ. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, I was a truly very, very young there. I just began really writing, and it was pretty much an acoustic thing. But we took it to London and found a string quartet on the street and added the string quartet to the acoustic setup. And that's where we were seen in something called the Mean Fiddler, the Writers' Night, and that's where I was signed from the Writers' Night.
Right, because we have Ben Zen, who's the owner of Reborn, who's bringing he's come together with me to bring you over. He was asking, I'd like to ask her what inspired her to be a trance vocalist. Was this a natural thing or was it just random? So we've got part of the story just there.
Yes. Well, it was a little random because I was very young. I wasn't really out clubbing. I was mostly writing because that was my love and still is even today. My passion is actually writing. But actually, somebody sent the track, or BT actually found the track, one of my tracks, when he was in London. And it was acoustic almost, or the B-side was, which was Calling Your Name. And when he found that, he got in touch with the management, as you would, bottom of the record. And he said, he called me then and he said, I really love your voice. I can see it's you writing. I don't need the instruments. I don't need the people making the instruments. That's what I do. I had never been to a trance club in my life. And he said, listen, I said, well, how long are you in Manchester for? He was actually in Manchester, where I was living at the time. And so he said, I've got 2 days. I said, I'll be down tomorrow at 12 o'clock. And so I got to the studio at 12 o'clock and we wrote Remember. And Paul Oakenfold, who was looking after him at the time, absolutely loved the song and said, Jan, I'm going to send you to America to write with BT for his album. And that's where the love began. And then BT invited me to see what the night was all about. And that I was absolutely in trance heaven from then on, because as a writer, you're only working with the chord structures. The instrumentation, of course, is the ice cream. But the core for me was always what are the instruments doing? What are the chord structures doing? So I never had one moment where I couldn't fit into what was happening. And then I had to do all the I had to do some of the gigs with him, and that's when I knew I was in my right place.
Yeah.
And the songs, as you know, Josh, can be stripped back and used acoustically all the way through to whatever the genre is at that time. So I'm a happy camper.
So after BT, was that when some of the other bigger names started picking up on your writing and your remixing? So let's talk about the big gig when I first saw you during the Skydive fame, when you did the DVD with Tiesto, obviously, and you had worked with Paul Van Dyke as well. Yes. Was that around about the same time? And
it was the same time, because after we'd finished writing for BT's SCAM, we all went to Miami. That was my first conference. And of course, Paul Van Dyke was there and he asked me to write with him. The Submerge project came out of that. Everybody was there and everybody was giving me their cards. And so from that very first Miami conference, I got to meet everybody. And that's why I began to write with everybody.
Who told you to go to Miami?
Oh, it was a Paul Oakenfold. We were on the caravan then. We were on tour. We actually did quite a few very, very late early morning gigs in Miami onto the beach. It was fabulous. And so that's it all happened in Miami, that very first time in Miami.
Can I ask you a question too? I was always confused about where Skydive came from, because it actually had quite different names as well. And I noticed that you worked with Cosmic Gate, obviously, but Anthony Papa from Melbourne was also on the credits for some mixing.
Oh, yes. No, Anthony Papa sent me the music for the Skydive, which I thank him for. And he sent me the music alongside other people that were sending music at that time. And I must have been in a very, very amazing mood, because obviously we'd been in Miami. And so I really did feel wonderful. And I always write from the way I'm feeling. And that's what came out with his piece of music. And yeah, we didn't really look back after that.
Amazing, because it's simply a beautiful song, and it took off rather large in our circle, especially in Australia. Did that surprise you that it took off like it did all around the world?
Yes, it did. Although it's something you hope will happen, but you don't actually write for that to happen. You just write what's in your heart. If people accept it afterwards, that's amazing. But at the time, that was just the way I was feeling. That's the way it turned out. And then it went into so many people's hearts that people have met along the way have said, I've been married to that. I've had my baby to that song. It's been playing in the delivery room. And that has just made my life so happy.
There was one people use it when they actually skydive, and they've actually listened to it as they've jumped out of an airplane.
Given me the chills. I didn't hear that one, but I actually got a beautiful couple when I was here last time that were getting married. This is a little tiny story. I know I talk too much, but he walked across the dance floor after seeing her and he said, will you skydive with me forever? Again, I get the chills. And she said, yes. And then they asked me, would I do them an acoustic version for their first dance? They sent me the pictures. I did do that for them. And then they had the slow dance to an acoustic version. And then at the very end of the night, the last song was I Feel Wonderful. So to all the people out there that have ever used my song and Anthony Papa's beautiful music, thank you.
An absolutely wonderful song. All right, there's another girl from Adelaide Trance family. I put the word out and asked if they could ask some questions. And she said, what is your favourite gig in Australia and overseas?
Oh, it's so difficult.
That could be past, that could be present. What has been your most memorable?
Oh, it's so difficult to say, because every time I go to meet my friends that I've met on the last, gosh, but I have to say, and I know it's closed now, but Dave, and now we've lost Cal. I'm very, very sad. I found that out last year. Room 680 treated me like a princess when I came, and introduced me to so many other people and made sure that I got out to other people, which actually happened with Mark James. And I think that's how I met you. So I have to say that the core of some of those meeting everybody like yourself was at room 680.
That's Melbourne, yeah?
Melbourne it was, yes.
Absolutely. And at the peak of its career, trance, I was playing lots of Melbourne gigs and Sydney gigs at the time. And trance was definitely my forte, especially with the gay community. I had managed to somehow score sets at Mardi Gras and play along amongst Four Strings, Agnelli and Nelson. And there was that one night at Mardi Gras, I couldn't believe I scored the gig and you performed in a break in my set. And for me, that was like one of the most unbelievable, I guess, parts of my career, because not only did I get to perform at Mardi Gras, and it took me 10 years to get into that party, and I was the only Adelaide DJ at the time to play. And that was absolutely mammoth. The roar from that crowd that night was
Never forget it.
Amazing. Like, seriously.
And that's where we fell in love as friends,
right.
because music aside, and where you ever attain, whatever you attain in music, the people and the audience anyway, without our audience, we've got nobody to play to but our front room. But that was, it has to be said, Josh, that was the most amazing night.
And I think that it's something to be said about the time that we had from the very, very early 90s up until about the 2000s were absolutely spectacular for all music being created around that time. It must have been amazing for you to just sit back and think, wow, am I really doing this?
You know, it's like, Josh, when you're passionate about something, you're never really digesting or pulling anything apart. You're just flowing with everything. I know that 2003 came along, and one of the best experiences of my life was to be asked to do Tiesto in concert. I was like, wow, 25,000 people. Yes, please. And it was an amazing night. And then it was more people to meet. It's been a beautiful, beautiful roller coaster, and it's not over.
It's not. So let's talk about it not being over. I want to tap on, I saw a photo recently and I tried to find it a minute ago and I can't find it. There was a black and white photo of you and three gentlemen, strapping gentlemen, about some new project you're doing.
Yes. I actually wrote for Hide and Seek. The boys are called Hide and Seek. Brilliant musicians, really great producers. They sent me a piece of music, like so many others, and I wrote for them, Because of You. And we actually attained #1 in the trance chart with that. Only, I suppose, within the last 6 months. And the boys came to me and they said, look, we are creating our own label, and we'd really love if you would be our 4th member, because we have one side of the equation, but you understand because obviously it's not about me, it's about new people coming, and I love to write for new people. It would be amazing, new people. Maybe you can help us with what should be happening for them in the studio. So I said, absolutely. So I'm the 4th member of Future Force record label, which after all this time, it seems to be the right time.
Did you find, we have had discussions in the past, and we won't name names because that's not cool, but in the past, as a vocalist, you're very brilliant at a vocalist, but there's been a time when the record labels are all now defunct and there's so much going on, people not crediting people using stuff they shouldn't. And now with AI technology, I noticed Kirsty Hawkshaw is having problems at the moment, and also Opus 3 with It's a Fine Day. Some of those acapellas were found on the back of 12-inch records, and we also know that AI can strip down vocals from tracks. How's that sitting with you now that you're about to embark on a label, and some of the issues you've had in the past? Because I know now that you have a gentleman who's been helping you try and retrieve royalties and getting your name on projects that you wrote.
I wrote. Yes. We were all very young and very naive. And so half of the problem was probably myself, because I trusted everything and everybody, and I believed everybody was in there because they were passionate about our music. I wasn't passionate about money, and I'm still not, because those early days didn't really pay the artists that wrote them really very much at all. But we've got a little bit more savvy as time has gone by. But of course, AI is going to cause a new problem, like it caused problems when everybody learned to download for free. So, of course, the publishing houses no longer needed to sign you for your publishing because they couldn't collect. So it's going to bring its own problems. I've not encountered any stripped down vocals, but of course it's going to happen because they can take the music out now. They can actually, I believe, put a title in, give it 5 of your tracks, and then ask it to write a song from all those lyrics on a certain subject. So we're going to encounter some problems ahead. Yeah, I did talk to Kirsty only last week because she was on Evolved, and we were talking about getting back together to do some work together, which we've done in the past. It's a little bit of a worry. It's a little bit of a worry. Can't be said that it's not, but we'll step on that wall when I have to jump from it. Okay. Yeah, a little ahead.
Absolutely. And it's great to know that you're doing some more collaboration. Let's talk about some of the work you've done in the past 12 months. I know the last time you were here, we briefly touched on that you were working with new people and that you are accessible to other producers if they're interested in working with you in collabs.
Yes, well, everybody comes to the Jan Johnston Facebook page, and I have to thank him from the bottom of my heart, my best friend and friends, that's Phil and Steve, that's his partner, but Phil is day to day. He was a great fan. We're going back 20-something years, but he does all my day to day. He looks at everything that's coming through. He sends on to me what the requests are. Then I write personally back to that person. So they're always getting a personal answer. So if anybody wants to go to the Jan Johnston Facebook, they'll always get me. And we really do love writing to new music. Now, I never look at the name of the artist. I never look at what he's done. I never look at if he's got a track record, ever. That's hand on Bible. I only ever listen to the music, and I listen to the music in the dark, in the evening, and then I know immediately if I can enhance that further with a song. So once again, it's only down to the music, not down to the name. So I do hope that people know that, because some people say, oh, I don't think I'll send my music because it has to be named, or I've not got a track record yet. There's quite a lot of my DJs this last year are only beginning now to get off the starting blocks, not because of my collab only, but definitely it's been a help. So please do write to me, do send music to me, because I love to hear from new artists. That's what it's about.
Yeah, that's your opportunity, guys. Your foot in the door. So let's talk about some of these releases. You've got quite a few out there. I also notice I'm on your Facebook page at the moment.
Because I don't remember. I have so many that you'll have to just prompt me for a minute.
Yeah, there's Adam Taylor, Bouncing Between Memories, Nocturnal Hemstock and Jennings, one of my favorite. What was it like to work with Hemstock and Jennings?
Worked with them quite a few times along the way, but beautiful. I gave them the vocal to that. And two great guys. I went up to the studio on the train. We did a few other little bits and pieces, and then out it went to, I think, an Italian label. But he got in touch with me, and he was so complimentary that I will definitely work with that label again. There's been a lot of new labels that I've worked with this year, including Black Hole, some of the older ones, but definitely some new ones.
And it must be nice to be able to work with a lot of the labels, like to be able to freely flow with everybody. And there's so many of them now.
There is, because I've had quite a few requests for people that are trying to sign you up for 5 years. Now, that seems a bit old hat to me, but there was one person, some great names in there, but you'd have to sign with them for 5 years. Well, I don't want to do that, because I want to be able to listen to new music, stay with the floor and what the floor's doing, not try to, I'm not saying it's where those requests have come from is old hat, but I don't want to put myself in a box anymore. And it's been quite a lot of years now where I've just been able to do my own thing and work. And the boys actually go to the labels. I write. If of course they're having problems, I'll, put the feelers out. But generally, they know where they're going or who they want to remix things, and to which labels they'd like to go to. So they do their homework.
I think that also counts for young producers now. It must be amazing to be able to have control over your work, but also be able to promote it yourself through links like, let's talk about Spotify, iTunes. There's, a whole load of different sites now that kids can get on. They can become a sensation overnight on YouTube even.
I know. Yes. And once again, the business end of things, yes, I keep my eye on it. And Phil I call him Team One, because there's only one person in the team, but he does so much and he does it so well that, I can leave that with him. He'll do his homework on Spotify and the other genres that we can actually, well, not genre, the other places that we can put music. And I'm liking the way that there are a lot of openings now for songs to be heard, not just the record label.
That's correct. And I think it's been one big win for artists as a whole, and also, singer-songwriters to be able to, just get down and do their work. And if they find someone decent to do their websites and help them with their promotion, they don't have to be screwed over by, and then let's talk about Sinead O'Connor. She did exactly what she wanted to do. She was a songwriter. She just wanted to sing good music. And I think she has a very big message to send out to artists about, how you're perceived in the media and whether or not you're going to, make someone a lot of money and not line your own pockets with your decently deserved money.
That, I think, is one of the things that made me, even though I was very young coming in, made me stay in this lane. Because previously, record labels were telling you what you needed to look like. They would change the way you looked. If you loved your hair long, they wanted your hair cropped or whatever it was. And those very, very early days, you were dancing to somebody else's tune. Now, as soon as we were able to get out of that situation, we were still young enough to then move into an area where I found my feet in trance, to again work with different people, not have to be just under one label. And, every day you're taking a phone call and they're telling you what your day is going to consist of. No, our days are very, very, very creative because we're running our own shows and we're talking to all the different people around the world and we're collaborating. We don't have to be in the same room anymore. It's fabulous. In those old days, we used to have to fly, be in the studio. Now people are sending their music, WhatsApping it even, and I can just take that into the studio and, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do with that. So it's fabulous. Send back the dry stems. They do everything in their own studios.
Nice.
And that's the beauty.
And the same as your touring, I had a friend the other day, we had a meditation and she came along to the meditation and she said a classic. She goes, oh, I said, Jan's coming again. She goes, I know. And you know what I loved about Jan is she came out and she was just like a fairy with no shoes on and she just sold it. And she was just amazing. And she's just so beautiful. And she's, it's coming off as who you are. And the people love that, you can come out exactly who you are, present yourself, and they absolutely love it.
Well, that was nothing that was preconceived. That's just, I think, really the way I am, every day. And so hitting the stage, I felt like I was just surrounded with friends, and you can just be yourself when you're with your friends. And I think and I've never changed things because nobody's told me I had to change anything, because I'm not under anybody's umbrella. I can do my own thing, my own way.
Absolutely awesome. So I noticed you dropped a bombshell in your last video.
Did I?
And I know there's, obviously some changes are always going to be inevitable. So what's on the cards for you for the next few years? Obviously more releases.
Yes. Writing is huge. And of course, with live performances, there's not always the pocket to bring a live performance along, because there's so many DJs to look after on the night. And so I understand that. And there's been a lot of time. And although we're all getting a little bit older, whilst I'm being asked, I'll definitely be there. But and while I feel that, and I don't want to use, while I feel that I'm not, I don't want to use the word old because it's just not there. You just don't look at the calendar. But you know what I'm saying? We've been there quite some time. But my audience are 20 to 60, and they're vibing people and they're creative people, and they're in the audience, both whatever age spectrum, they're enjoying in the same way. So whilst I'm invited, I will definitely be there. But of course, in the back of your head, you always wonder, how long can I do live for? Yes, I can write forever, but how long can you do live for? So that was a little bit of a moment where, and then a friend of mine said, hey, your birth date is only an accident of birth, the day you were born on. I'm like, oh, I'm going to live with that. That's quite good. Yeah, it was just an accident that I came on that day. So ignore the year, and let's just carry on enjoying.
That was a lightning bolt moment for the planet bringing you here. Let's talk about, I'm the same, 40 years next year in DJing. And I think it's one of those things where you go through different generations. There was a bit of a lull there where sort of no one wanted anything really to do with me, and they were calling me a leather handbag and, you know, you're old school or whatever. But I'm finding now, even with some of the Adelaide trance family and all the people, it's coming back, and trance has managed to somehow stay alive due to, you know, Adelaide trance family, Reborn, Viper Room. It's amazing how we can keep going from generation to generation like that. And again, yeah.
I congratulate you, JoSH. 40 years. I think I'm at least 35 years. I haven't even worked it out, but yeah, I would say it's probably at least 35 years, because I know I came into trance like 95 to 96. I began writing with BT. So it was very early, and I'd had a couple of years in the acoustic world prior to that. And I'd been in all the baby competitions on holiday singing before that. So I was always destined to sing, but it was lovely to learn to write and to do this time. And as you say, you know, we just thank our people that keep inviting us down. So thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. We did some releases with you, obviously, and I worked with a gentleman called Tim who actually knew. He was part of the Perfecto label with Paul Oakenfold, one of the songs from Kevin and Perry Go Large, Another Day. Huge tune.
Yeah.
When I was working with him, and like you, I believe this is how you write, is sometimes the writing just comes to you. I don't know where, but sometimes you would just listen to the music and a lyric would come out, or Tim would ring me in the middle of the night and he goes, I've got an idea. I just dreamt it. We got to put it down. Is that pretty much how you work as well?
Yes, not always, but I remember that time that the three of us were in the studio and you played me something, and I've always got like a little bit of a poem book where I'll write things. So I must have had something in the back of my head that I'd already written that came back. But there again, sometimes it's on the moment, and that one little line will become the jigsaw puzzle to filling in the verse, the bridge, the chorus. Then it is just a jigsaw puzzle. The second verse, the bridge, the chorus, play around in the middle eight, and a chorus to fade. So our formula, once we've got those early feelings, as you know, we're away. And I remember the three of us doing that day. It was absolutely it was an amazing day and extremely creative. Extremely. So thank you.
You also were at one of my gigs at the Seacliff Hotel, which is just not far from here at the sea, and you literally sat there with pen and paper and wrote a song about the mermaid on the end of the bar on the boat.
Yes. Yeah, just a mermaid full of mosaic colors. That's a rippling through your life. Yeah, I still remember her. I've not used her yet.
Oh,
but I love her because there is so much around the video on that I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hold her in my little trinket box.
Question: Did you ever go to Ibiza?
Oh yes, yeah, I played in Ibiza quite a lot, and I live in Spain, so I'm not too far. So I did have quite a lot of time backwards and forwards, enjoying that time, playing with some of the boys. Just stepping in sometimes, not always a full gig, just stepping in. And of course, the crowd love that when you're there to just enjoy the night and you get up to sing something.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a wonderful interview. Thank you for speaking with us today. I'm hoping you're enjoying the Queensland weather, and we're going to be on November 4th at the Aqaba Hotel. I hope you're looking forward to seeing us.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to seeing everybody, Adelaide. Please buy your tickets and be upstairs. I'll be there in my finery and my bare feet. And thank you to my gorgeous girl, DJ JoSH, who I'll see in probably just 3 weeks. The 4th of November, I will be in Adelaide. Come party with us, because it's going to be a night you'll never forget. I love you all. Thank you.